You know that feeling when you've said all the right things, but your message just doesn't land? Well, today we're going to dive into the hidden language of your voice. We're talking about the secret techniques that go way beyond just the words you choose to give your communication some real power and impact. So let me ask you this right off the bat. Have you ever made a statement, something you're totally sure about, but it kind of comes out sounding like you're asking a question? It's super common. And you know what? It might be chipping away at your authority without you even noticing. Just listen to this. Personally, I particularly like beef jerky and nuts because they are an excellent source of protein. Did you hear that? That little lift at the end of jerky and nuts? That's what we call a rising intonation, and it totally changes the game. It takes a confident statement and just injects a little bit of doubt. And that little upward tilt in your voice, that's the exact thing we're going to tackle first, sounding sure of yourself. This is all about making your voice reflect the confidence you already have. Because honestly, mastering this one little habit can totally transform how people hear you. Look, we've all heard this a million times, right? But it is the absolute truth. It's the core of what makes someone a truly compelling speaker. The best communicators out there, they've mastered the how. They get that their voice is an instrument, and they know exactly how to play it to sound confident, clear, and convincing. Okay, so let's get into our first tool for sounding more confident. It's called intonation. I want you to think of it as the music of your voice, the natural rise and fall of your pitch. Getting this music right is absolutely fundamental to making sure people really get what you're saying. Now, a rising tone isn't the enemy here. It's actually a super useful tool when you're, say, listing things off, or asking a question, or signaling to someone, hey, I'm not done talking yet. The problem is when we overuse it, especially at the end of a statement, where it just makes you sound hesitant. Oh man, the difference is just night and day. Listen, first, the unsure version. I think it's called PETA. Now, the confident one. I think it's called PETA. See, same exact words, but a completely different message. The first one is basically asking, am I right? The second one is just stating a fact. So here's the key takeaway. Ending your sentences, the ones that are statements, with a nice, firm, falling tone is the #1 way to sound more authoritative. It's like a verbal period at the end of your sentence. It tells your listener, I'm done with that thought and I mean what I said. All right, now that we've got our statements anchored, let's move on to our second tool. I like to call this one your verbal highlighter. This is all about using stress on certain words to point your listener's attention exactly where you want it to go. Okay, so listen to the sentence when I say it with a really flat, even stress. That's my opinion anyway. I mean, it's fine. It's grammatically correct, but it's totally forgettable, right? It has zero punch. It just kind of hangs there in the air. But watch what happens when we use our highlighter. That's my opinion anyway. Boom! By stressing the word my, we're doing something called contrastive stress. We're not just giving an opinion anymore. We're subtly setting it apart from someone else's opinion. The meaning just got so much richer. And this is so cool. You can actually see what we're talking about. This is a sound wave. See how that part for the word benefit is way bigger and taller than the rest? That's what vocal stress looks like. You can literally see the emphasis. It makes that one word just pop. So if we're going to put a formal definition on it, contrastive stress is just adding emphasis to a specific word to show a contrast or maybe to correct something someone else said. Seriously, just think of it like taking a bright yellow highlighter to your own speech and telling your audience, hey, pay attention. This word is the one that really matters right now. Okay, so this is where it gets really interesting because the real pros, the expert communicators, they don't just use these tools one at a time. They start blending them. By combining that intonation we talked about with word stress, they can add these incredible, subtle layers of meaning to their speech. Listen to this example right here. Like, if you can see PETA, the protection of the endangered animals. Did you catch what happened? The pitch dropped a little and the pace got a bit faster on that phrase, the protection of the endangered animals. That's totally on purpose. The speaker is treating that phrase like an aside, like the info you put in parentheses and write. This is such a powerful idea. When you vary your voice, you're basically using punctuation when you speak. A falling tone, that's your period. A rising tone can be a comma or a question mark. And a little drop in pitch, that's like putting something in parentheses. This is what separates just talking from really, truly communicating. So the big question is, how do you put all this stuff together and actually make it sound natural? Let's turn these techniques into your own personal communication superpower, something you can pull out in a job interview, a big presentation, or heck, even just your next conversation. It really just boils down to 4 simple, actionable steps. First, make it a habit to end your statements with that confident, falling tone. Second, start using word stress like that verbal highlighter we talked about. Third, and this is a big one, start really listening for these things in speakers you admire. And finally, just practice. Practice until it feels totally natural. So, I'll just leave you with this one question. The next time you speak, take a second and ask yourself, what is my voice really saying? Because now you know, the power isn't just in the words you choose, it's in that hidden language you're using to deliver them every single day.